Hello and welcome to our Pokemon TCG tier list. Looking forward to the Merida and the Birmingham Regional Championships.
After analysing the results from Toronto, we are going to discuss the best plays moving forward for any events you may have coming up this weekend. Goldango first. Where do you think we'll place it?
I reckon it's still sitting around the S tier mark. I think despite having weaker results this weekend, I think it's still a very powerful deck.
I'd say low S tier or high A tier as
High A
well.
tier. Yeah.
The matchup spread does get a bit weaker from the Toronto though. Could put it either one for now and leave it around after.
Yeah, I reckon we just leave it in high A tier for now, and then we can push it to S otherwise. So, Gardevoir. I assume it's discussing both Charm and Flutter variants here. Both builds seem really, really strong. They both seem to have a very, very powerful matchup spread. I think I'm comfortable to put it in S tier or very high A tier.
Yeah, I agree with S tier for Gardevoir, and the same with Gardevoir Jellicent as well.
Yeah, I feel like they're both very, very.
Which one do we place
powerful.
above? Is the question.
I think that Gardevoir Jellicent should be placed higher.
Yeah.
Going into next weekend, matchup spread elsewhere. But I feel like it kind of differentiates by the Flutter Guardi versus the Charm.
Yeah, I mean,
That's the big thing. I think Charm Guardi is probably better positioned going into next weekend.
yeah, I agree with that. It takes a favoured Dango matchup. It takes a favoured Dragapult Dusknoir matchup. And I'm not entirely sure on the Charizard.
It's definitely better into Charizard than the Gardevoir Jellicent deck.
Yeah.
Gardevoir Jellicent just has a really strong Goldango matchup. It also, depending on the build, it can have a strong Dragapult Dusknoir matchup. But though we see from this weekend, the winning list played the 2-1-2 Gardevoir line, which isn't as strong into Dragapult. And Brent Tonneson, who also made top 8, played a 3-1-2, which still isn't very strong. But I think it can have a favoured Dragapult matchup if it builds their deck like that.
Yeah.
I think the weaker matchup is the Charizard Knockdown matchup, which I still feel is very winnable. But especially looking at this weekend, which had 4 Dragapults, I believe, in top cut, I don't expect Zard Owls to be super, super popular moving into the coming weekend. And I just expect, and the deck also beats Straight Gardevoir, which is the other deck that we're considering between S tier and very high A tier.
Yeah.
So it feels like it just beats all the best decks right now.
Yeah. I mean, the highest placing Charizard Noctowl was 17th, which will bump some popularity off of that deck if that's a deck you didn't want to see. And it also depends if they're playing the Pidgeotto as a tech card, I think.
Yeah, that definitely influences the matchup. But I still don't think the Pidgeotto fixes the Dragapult Dusknoir matchup, which is a deck that we saw being incredibly successful this weekend, which I think will bring more players towards the deck.
Yeah.
Moving towards Merida.
Speaking of that deck, Dragapult Dusknoir, where do we put it?
I think people will be more prepared for it, but I still think it has to be maybe mid to low A tier. After the success this weekend, I think Gardevoir decks are gonna start teching more heavily towards Dragapult Dusknoir. With Henry Chow finishing in top cut at 11th place with the Gardevoir deck with TM Evo, I think a lot of people will pick it up, being a much easier Gardevoir variant. So I'd expect much more popularity from the straight Gardevoir builds. I still think that the deck just has such a well-rounded matchup spread and so much agency that I can't put it much lower than A tier.
Yeah. Is it above or below Dango
I think it's definitely below Dango going into next weekend. I just think that Goldango's too strong at the moment. I think people are going to respect it less going into next weekend, to be honest, after its results this weekend. But I think it's going to be under-respected.
Yeah, I can see that as well. Another thing to point out is a lot of Gardevoir players will probably be taking in the thicker Gardevoir lines, the TM Evo package, and stuff like that. And
definitely.
Taking those Watchtowers out of the deck as well, since we saw the decks that Watchtower effect not do as good. Next one, Charizard Noctowl, which is one Stuttgart, placed 17th, 19th, and 20th at Toronto, but takes a really rough Pult matchup.
Yeah, I definitely think it's got to be B tier right now, at least, at the lowest.
Yeah.
The deck just seems like Dragapult's popularity this weekend and success that it saw last weekend is going to bring in more Dragapult Dusknoir players, which is really not good for the deck. I don't think there's a way to build the deck so it beats Dragapult Dusknoir.
Yeah.
Without losing a huge percentage in other matchups.
Do you expect to see the Charizard Noctowl play rate go down significantly though.
Yeah, I definitely think it'll go down a significant portion.
Yeah.
Like, people aren't going to be wanting to play that deck after Dragapult made, like, 4 top 8s.
Yeah.
And more in cut, I'm pretty sure.
Another thing is, I still think this deck can have a deep run.
Yeah, I definitely think it could have a deep run. I just expect a lot less people to be playing it, and I just think it's a weaker play.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, I'm happy with B tier for that one. Alakazam to Dunsparce. This is a deck that was 2.5% of the meta and more popular than Absolbox this weekend and Grimmsnarl.
Yeah.
So,
Like, I think it has a lot of popularity. Maybe it's a fun deck, but I definitely don't think it's very competitively viable. It does have a pretty good Zard matchup, I'm pretty sure, because a lot of the Zard Owls players are cutting one of their Iono and going down to just one Iono. And it definitely beats Goldango, which seems to be the most popular deck in the room.
but it does
I think
take a rough matchup into the other 3 decks.
Gardevoir and Dragapult, yeah. So I think it's got to sit at least in C tier, probably low C tier.
Low C, yeah.
I don't think it's absolutely terrible, but like you're beating some decks, but
I definitely wouldn't play
really
it.
just not.
How was that Pidgeot?
I
So
think
the slower
Charizard
version.
Pidgeot is in a lot better of a spot than Charizard Noctowl. I'll
Even
be prepared to put it a low A tier, high B tier, because I think its Dragapult Dusknoir matchup is just that much more winnable.
Yeah, you can build the deck to beat whatever decks you want to beat as
Exactly,
well,
it's
which
just-
is
Yeah.
interesting.
Has a lot of flexibility in the ways.
Yeah, I could see it being high B tier, still less popular than
Yeah.
the Charizard Noctowl variant
Yeah.
though. Yeah, I'm happy with that there. And Zoroark. This was a deck that was hyped up going into the weekend with 4% meta share. I think the highest it's been. And Liam Halliburton,
Managed to have a deep run.
yeah, after popularizing the deck again,
Yeah, I think its conversion rate was very, very, very weak.
it's also a very
Going.
hard deck to play.
It's
I
a very
think.
it's a
And-
very skill dependent deck. Like you need to be good at the deck in order to pilot it well. And I think in terms of meta positioning, if you're playing the deck perfectly, I think it's less important the meta position than you playing the deck. But in terms of the current meta positioning, if you were trying to meta game for the next regionals, I think it would be in like high B, low A maybe. Like I see it how it be like it's Gardevoir matchups, both of them have just gotten so much weaker, especially the Jellicent matchup since Gardevoir Jellicent started playing Diancie again.
Yeah.
And I just think they just have to build their decks. They're almost taking for Gardevoir, which could not feel good, considering that's like the one thing the deck was supposed to be really strong into.
Yeah. I agree with that as well. The only thing is the low conversion rate. If it has another low conversion rate, is it still that good of a play? It also just
I think
loses
if
to
you're
a lot
playing
of
the-
bad decks.
it was just a lot of the lower tier decks. I agree there. But I think the low conversion rate is less like it's a statistic to look at if you're trying to pick it up for the weekend. But if you already know the deck very well, I would ignore the conversion rate because if you can play the deck well, you're going to be able to convert results
Yeah.
with it.
It also took a 39% win rate into Dragapult over the weekend, which was a deck we saw do extremely well. So
Yeah, I think it may be high B-ish.
want to say
Maybe even a low B.
I want to say low B, mid B. I reckon
Yeah.
under Charizard.
I think
Noctowl.
I think both Zard variants are definitely better.
Yeah,
For the
I
weekend.
agree with that. Next one, Kangaskhan Bofalant. This was a deck that became really popular in the online Limitless tournament space leading up to the event.
Yeah.
And it was only 2% meta share and takes a
Yeah.
rough matchup into a lot of decks.
Yeah, I think the deck basically just loses to Zard,
Dango, Pult.
Dango, Pult, and then Guardy is like close-ish.
Guardy's kind of
I
close.
definitely think that sits in like this mid C tier. I would even put it below Alakazam in its matchup spread. Like I feel like Goldango being like such a high percentage deck and just auto losing pretty much is really, really bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it does depend on the Gengar build, but the low pony build did seem to be popular, and I expect it to continue to be popular, even if it's not the best way to play the deck.
Yeah, I can see the low punny build still being more popular.
I think the deck goes in C tier.
Would it be bad to say D tier? It's definitely low C, but
I-
could it be high D?
Yeah, maybe. I could see it either way, to be honest.
Yeah.
Let's see high D. Either. I don't mind.
Grimmsnarl Frostlass loses to the most popular deck, but can beat nearly everything
Almost
else
everything
sometimes.
else. Yeah, I think it's kind of sitting around low B. Like, I think its Dragapult Dusknoir matchup is slightly favored. Its Gardevoir matchup is also slightly favored. And its Zard matchups are also slightly favored. It's just the it's just the Goldengo matchup that can be pretty difficult.
And how inconsistent the deck is.
Yeah, the inconsistency can also be an issue. I think low B feels pretty
Yeah.
good for the deck, to be honest. Like, I could see it above or below Zoroark.
It also had two deep runs, getting 9th and 12th, so both in
It
ASIM.
did. I think people are gonna ignore the deck still.
Greninja's just straight up in D tier. This was a deck.
Yeah, the deck it's like a terrible play, terrible. Like, it seems like a really, really weak deck right now.
Definitely overhyped, and
Yeah.
I think it's definitely D tier underneath Kangaskhan and Booflin. Absol Box, which, looking at it,
I think Absol's a really, really weak deck going forward.
yeah, I could see that.
Like,
I'm just looking at its matchups now. Goldengo Lunatone 43%. Dragapult Dusknoir was 53%. Charizard Noctowl 46 and Gardevoir 40. Although it does take a 61 into Gardevoir Jellicent, which are the top decks.
Yeah. Yeah, on the list, yeah. I mean, when you think about it, like, I think the Gardevoir Jellicent matchup is probably slightly favored for the Gardevoir player. I just think I just think Gardevoir Jellicent's one of those decks that's quite hard to pilot, and I think there are a lot of pilots out there who just don't know what they're doing with the deck
Yeah,
and playing it forward.
that's not a bad
From
take.
my personal testing, I think that it is slightly Gardevoir Jellicent favored.
Yeah.
I think your Dragapult matchup is kind of sketchy. I'd say slightly Absol favored, but it's pretty sketchy. The Dengo matchup, you have to put like a 5-card tech in to beat, I think.
Yeah, whether it's the
Feels
Sandy
like
Shocks package or the Moltres package, you're taking
Or
away
the
a
Toaster
lot of
Rock, yeah.
consistency.
Yeah,
Just
it feels
to
like
get in there.
the strength of the deck is the consistency, and like chucking in huge tech packages just doesn't feel fun in those decks.
I'm think
And
C tier, just above Alakazam.
Yeah. Yes, I definitely think it's above Alakazam. Like, it has a decent match option too. Yeah, like, it can beat everything. It's just it struggles to do so. You know?
Yeah. We saw Raging Bolt get second this weekend. Do you think
I found it
the deck is good
quite
again?
surprising. In terms of matchup spread, I definitely think Gardevoir is unfavored, to say the least. And then I think that Goldengo might actually be slightly favored. And then Dragapult is slightly unfavored, and then Zard is slightly unfavored. Zard Owls, I think, might be slightly favored into Raging Bolt, just because they can get an aggressive start. Like, Raging Bolt player can't effectively... I think the Torrential Pump is the big difference in the matchup. And I think when you're blinding second as Zard Owls, it makes it a lot more difficult to pull off that turn 2 Torrential Pump that's like, really impactful.
Zard Owls also has the big Noctowl and Briar combo turns they can take, which...
They've got so much potential,
Yeah.
But I think the Zard Pidgeot doesn't have that power, and it can kind of get run over by the Raging Bolt.
Yeah.
It doesn't have. I think Dengo, like we saw in the second place list, the Vitality Band, like being able to engage in the prize trade, like by KOing like a Solrock plus Lunatone or Solrock plus Gimmighoul with your Wellspring, I feel like that almost wins you the matchup when your opponent's deck isn't disrupting you at all. And I feel like Raging Bolt could just run them over, especially when Dengo's blinding second.
It comes down to whoever takes the first two, and if you're doing that
Yeah.
with Wellspring plus Vitality, you're probably fine.
I mean, I don't know how. I haven't tried the list much, but I assume it can do it fairly consistently.
Yeah, I mean, if you get that
I'm not
Fan
saying
Raid
it's
turn 1, Tilmask Ogerpon, you're doing fine, I assume.
Yeah.
I
Definitely.
reckon
I think it would sit in B tier.
B tier?
I'd say like mid B tier, like in between, like somewhere around there. Like I'd say mid to low B tier. Like it seems like a solid play. It just the Gardevoir matchup's the real one that's really tough.
Yeah.
I'd say I'd say in that spot, like between Zoroark and Krim.
Yeah, okay.
Like it struggles into Guardy, I'd say, but everything else seems pretty winnable, to be honest.
I think Ceruledge as well, straight into D tier. The deck is
Yeah, that deck just I don't know about D tier. I feel like I would put it like above Kangaskhan Buffon as a play.
Yeah, I can
Kangaskhan
see that.
Buffon just seems absolutely terrible in a room full of Dengo. But
Yeah.
Ceruledge can at least has pretty good lines into Dengo. Yeah, it can beat Guardy, although that's really difficult. It's okay into Polt-ish, and then everything else can be kind of rough, I think.
Yeah, I mean, probably beats Zoroark. I assume it
Yeah,
beats Absol, and hard
yeah,
loses to
probably.
Alakazam, which
Yeah.
55 people at Toronto decided to play that. 57, sorry. Um,
Yeah.
Lopunny
Well, that's funny.
Dusknoir is such a weird deck.
Yeah, it seems like it always has a lot of hype leading up to events, and then the deck just does not
Doesn't,
meet expectations.
yeah. Um, D tier
I
or
feel
C
like
tier?
I feel like C tier, to be honest. I would put it
Under,
below Absol for sure.
I'd put it below
Like,
Alakazam, to be honest.
yeah.
It's such
I
a
mean, the deck
fraudulent
kind of.
deck.
It feels like the deck just hard folds as soon as you start item locking them. I
Yeah,
mean, I've played it from as Jelly Guardian, I've played it as Duskbolt, and I just item lock them, and then the deck just stops working.
yeah. But it takes a decent matchup. I assume into
It's
some of these
Dego.
decks if it's
Yeah,
still,
it basically needs the board wipe for
yeah,
it to win, which seems really difficult. If your opponent sets up, you kind of lose.
yeah. Dragapult Charizard, which is a deck that
I
hasn't
think
seen success in a while, but
no, it's don't think it had success again this weekend. But I think it's like a okay deck. In my opinion, I think it's just a worse Dragapult and a worse Charizard.
yeah,
Like I feel like you should just pick one and stick with it.
less
I think like
inconsistent as well.
I think it's definitely better than Absol right now. Like Absol seems super weak.
But so does Dragapult Charizard.
I feel like maybe in between. Wait, how's it match up? Like I feel like Poltzard loses to both Guardy variants. Loses to Duskbolt. Does it beat? It doesn't. What does it actually? It only really beats Zard, doesn't it?
It,
It feels really bad.
according to Limitless, it beats Dango and
Okay, I
Zard.
don't know about that much. If it
So
beats Dango, then I think like high C tier, very low B tier. It
I
could
want to
sit.
say mid to low C tier. I think in front of Lopunny,
Really?
but under Alakazam, it could be.
I mean, I guess Alakazam does the same thing to Dango in theory, and Zard.
Yeah.
But like, yeah. Okay, I could see that.
The two other our decks, the Terrorbox
Yeah.
decks. Yeah, I think most lists are gonna cut the Watchtower going into next weekend as well. Like, Gardevoir Jellicent takes a
hope so.
fine matchup into Raging Bolt. Charizard Noctower is expected to drop. Goldengo has to hit that Watchtower turn 1 against Raging Bolt for
Yeah.
it to have a big effect.
Yeah. Sure.
Um,
Yeah, definitely.
I could see them
Yeah,
cutting
I
it.
could definitely see that. I think Flareon is better than Terrabox going forward, for
Yeah,
sure.
I could
Like
see that.
Terrabox, I feel like Flareon has like a salvageable Guardy matchup at least, and is like decent into other stuff. While Terrabox just doesn't really have that going.
Terrorbox
for
has to
it.
get that turn
It's really
2
rough into Guardy.
Water Pond Snipe to have a chance.
Torrential Pump, and then they probably need to do it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they probably just need to hit it consecutive turns and hope they wipe all my rolls, and then they might be able to win. Solid. I think it's probably low B.
Low B or high C? I think I'd put this high B
Maybe even
or mid B, and
yeah,
then this lower.
mid B.
Mid B for
I feel like
Flareon.
Raging Bolt's better. Oh, for Flareon, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Terrabox is
Flareon
C.
is definitely mid B. Yeah,
Terrabox.
I think Terrabox is C. I think it's better than Alakazam.
I'd put it there. It seems like
Yeah,
Not
I
a
think
bad
that's the best way
play.
to keep it.
it could have a deep run if
Yeah.
someone pilots it well and gets lucky.
Yeah, but I think
Last deck, Flareon,
Flareon-
Noctowl. This got
I
a
think
top
it's-
16.
as you said. Yeah, I think it's sitting around the B tier. I think it's a solid deck going forward.
Yeah.
I don't think
see
it
it.
does anything particularly outstanding, but it definitely has the skill expression.
I don't know if it's above the Zard variants, but I could see it above Zoroark.
Yeah, I think between Zard variants and Zoroark is where it sits.
Yeah. Doing meta share now.
Yeah, we can go over the meta share.
We'll start with Goldengo. That was the most
No.
popular deck.
Yeah, I expect it to maintain popularity, just not 20% yet again.
I'm expecting
I think
18 to 19.
Yeah, I think
18?
17 to 18. I think 18. Just in
18?
the middle. I think around there is what I'm expecting for next weekend.
Yeah. The next most popular deck was
Dragapult.
Dragapult. So
I think Dragapult will stay the second most popular deck. I think it'll
Oh,
push up.
100%.
Though. I think it'll go to 15 even.
yeah. What's it at now? What was it? This weekend it was
at
13.
13 for Toronto. I think it'll push up to 15, maybe even 16. I don't think it's going to overtake Dango by any means. I think it'll definitely
15.5.
increase. Yeah, around there.
see that. Alright.
Okay.
Gardevoir, Jellicent, and Gardevoir. I still think Straight Guardy's gonna be the more popular deck.
I think Straight Guard is going to increase in player rate after its success.
I think they both will.
Yeah, I think Straight Gardevoir will increase. I think by like a higher percentage, just because I think it's an easier deck to pilot that someone can actually pick up just before the event.
And beats Dragapult
I
and
think
Gardingo.
Yeah, it has a solid matchup spread, and it's much easier to play than Gardevoir Jellicent, in my opinion.
What do you think
So I would
that would be?
Maybe even like 9%, 10% even.
10% seems like really high for the deck.
Yeah.
Especially when
probably.
there's the deck's split
Maybe
into
around
two
8 or 9%.
variants.
Yeah, maybe like 8 or 9% then.
We'll go somewhere in the middle, go 8.5 for now.
Sure.
Gardevoir Jellicent I expect to go up as well.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think it's gonna be as high as Gardevoir though. I think it's gonna bump up to like maybe like 7.5, 8.
Yeah, I could see 7.5. 8 seems really close to
8
Gardevoir's
seems like a lot.
percentage.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna be that close.
Yeah, with it being a harder deck to pilot.
Yeah.
Move on to just go in order from here.
Sure.
Do you think the Zard variants, which one do we think is going to be more popular?
I think they're both going to drop in play rate. I think Zard Owls will obviously be more popular, just because it has had that recent success.
Yeah, I could see it. I could see Charizard Pidgeot going up a bit as well.
Really? You think it's going to go up? I feel like it's just like... after the success from Dragapult, I feel like all the Zard variants are just going to drop by a little bit.
Yeah, maybe.
I think it'll go to like around 2.5%.
Charizard Pidgeot?
3. Yeah. It was at 3.93, so it's at about 4%. I think it'll drop to 2.5 to 3.
It's 2.8?
Yeah, we can see it.
And Charizard Noctowl?
Zard Owls was like incredibly popular.
That was 10% of the meta, 10.1.
It was at 10% play rate.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's going to drop to maybe around 6. Like, I don't think it's going to have that substantial of a drop. Like, people are still going to enjoy playing the deck and play it because they like it.
Yeah,
but I think
6.
Around 6 or 7, like around there.
That seems like a big drop, but yeah, 6.
I think it's warranted considering that there were 5 Dragapult Dusknoir I think in cut, 4 in top 8.
Yeah, okay.
We consider like 6.5 if you want. Like, it is a significant drop, but I think
I think leave it at 6 for now.
Okay, sure.
Flareon Noctowl. I expect this deck to go up a bit.
Yeah, I still think it's gonna be relatively low though. I'd set it at like 2.5%. Like, I don't think people are just gonna pick up the deck because.
I wouldn't say 2. I'd say it's at 1.3. I'd put it at 1.5, 1.6.
Okay.
Still keeping it really low.
Yeah.
Inflated going into this weekend. 4% was massive for the deck, and I expect that to drop.
Yeah, definitely. I think it'll drop to another like 2%, maybe even less than 2%.
Raging
Bolt. It was at 2.2%.
Do we expect that to go up?
Yes,
how much do we expect it to increase?
I could see it like doubling, maybe even tripling in play percentage after this. Like,
surely
it's one of those
not
decks
tripling.
that's very straightforward. Maybe not tripling. That's probably a bit of an overstatement. It's one of those decks that's very straightforward and linear to play. So people pick it up because they feel confident with it, and it doesn't like it has a level of skill expression, sure, but it doesn't have as high as a skill ceiling as Poltnor does or Jelly Guddy does.
Yeah, I could see that.
I think 4. I think I'm gonna say solid on 4 because it did come second place.
I don't
it's like if it flopped in top 8, sure, but it made it all the way to second. So
I don't expect it to be that popular. I expect it to take another couple of weeks to take off, or another deep run this weekend will probably push it back into the top 5 or 6 decks.
Yeah, definitely.
Grimstyle Frostlass is
I think it'll stay similar.
Yeah, 2.3.
I'd say probably around the same, maybe 2.4, like 2.3, 2.4, around there. I don't think the deck's gonna like it hasn't had any major developments, major play. Like it had good placements, sure, but it wasn't anything.
Yeah,
that's gonna warrant a huge influx of Grimstyle players.
Absol Box just keeps going down since we saw its introduction into the meta.
We watched it like come in at like 8%, and then I could grow it at 8%, and then now it's down to 2.5. I think it could drop even lower, to be honest. I think it could go down to like 2.1, 2.2.
Yeah,
I think it's
definitely
kind of like a
agree.
slaying decline.
It definitely doesn't seem as good as it was when it first came out.
No, it definitely isn't.
Um,
I'd say like yeah, around there.
Terrabox. That's a deck I think
I
is going
don't
to go
expect
down.
it to.
Or it might stay the
Yeah,
same. It was
but
1.2.
I think it's gonna stay about the same. Like it never got that popular. It was never this popular that weekend. So I think it'll just stay about the same.
Yeah,
People
didn't
will
gain
play
any
it, but
traction. Probably didn't lose any either. So
yeah, it's kind of
Alakazam,
expected.
probably the same.
Yeah, I mean, I think Alakazam numbers will stay about the same. Like, it doesn't seem to have any major developments. Like, there's no reason for the deck to become more popular or less popular going into the next weekend.
Yeah, I think 2.3. I put it under the Zoroarks and the Grimmsnarls. I think it's going to keep dropping. It had a good placement in
Yeah.
seniors, I think, and not much in masters.
Yeah, definitely. I think it could I think, like, again, like, it's probably just going to drop a little bit. I don't think it's going to drop by a significant amount. It'll probably just go, it's at 1.5 for, like, last weekend. I think it could just drop to, like, around 1.4-ish.
1.4, 1. Yeah, not the most popular deck next weekend for sure. Low Pony Dusknoir, that keeps dropping as well. I think it was way higher than 1.5 at Stuttgart.
It definitely. I think at Stuttgart it was like in the best of the rest. I think it's gonna drop again. To be honest, it's had another really bad weekend.
The deck
It was
is a
sitting
bad
at about
deck.
1.5. Yeah, I'd say like maybe 1.2. Like I don't think it's gonna drop by.
Do you think it's going to be more popular than Pulsar, though? More or less popular than Pulsar?
Definitely less popular going into next weekend.
Do
Like it just seems to be getting worse and worse and worse. It was less popular than Poldzide last weekend.
Yeah, true. Another deck that's in a similar trend is Ceruledge. No good finishes. It just keeps dropping.
Yeah, it's just getting weaker and weaker. I mean, like, especially with Guardy winning, I think Ceruledge players are just going to be put off. I think it's going to go down to 2. It's not a huge drop. I think you just drop it to 2. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that. That's going to have a massive drop off, I think.
Yeah, definitely. It had a fair bit of hype leading into the event, I think.
And then
I think it'll go down to like a 1.5% deck.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think anyone's going to want to play the deck anymore. Like, it had a lot of hype leading up to the event, a lot of online tournament finishes, a lot of online tournament players. I think it was in like the top 3 in a few pretty big online tournaments, like in terms of play rate.
But we also saw that fall off over the past week as well, and not as many people play
and it just continues dropping.
Yeah. Greninja. What was Greninja's play rate? That was quite low.
It's 0.84.
0.84. Let's give it.
I think it's
0.5.
0.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna keep dropping, I think.
And that leaves us 20% of the meta for other decks that aren't on this.
I feel like the straight Gardevoir percentage could be ticked up a little bit though. Like I feel like it's a bit too close to Jelly Guardy and
8.7.
I feel like it could go to like 9.
9 seems really high
Straight
for
Guardy.
the deck.
Like
Straight Guardy, yeah.
Charm Guardy is just building more and more traction. Like I saw like a tweet the other day that showed its matchup spread and it's like insanely good.
Yeah.
And it just seems to be getting more and more traction. More and more people are picking it up.
Yeah.
Like, it just seems to be getting really, really.
But rough Gardevoir Jellicent matchup, in theory, unless you're techie.
I think people prioritize beating Dengo right now, to be honest. I think people are more worried about that, and people want to just play a deck that's fun, straightforward, to an extent. And, yeah, it's just... people tend to enjoy playing the straight Gardevoir deck more than Gardevoir Jellicent.
Yeah, I
feel like it's less punishing on your miss players, and it can just be more fun to play.
Definitely.
Going into the next weekend, we'll have to see how Merida and Birmingham results shape out.
Yeah, I'm quite happy with this. Not much I'd change, to be honest. Anything else you'd want to change?
No, I think I'm pretty happy with this tier list. Like, this is probably where I would sit the decks. One thing I'd say is if you're planning to play Gardevoir Jellicent or straight Gardevoir and going into the weekend, I definitely think it's important to respect Pult somehow. So whether that be playing like a thicker Gardevoir line, an Evo package, or like the Turbo Energize we saw from like Rune back in Stuttgart, like you need some kind of Dragapult package so you can compete with it.
Whether that be extra tools or a thicker Guardy line for Pult, you need something just to beat Pult or to have a better time into Pult if you want to have a deep run.